In this tutorial, we're going to talk about packages in Python. Right now, we have the main file with nothing in it, and we have two other files. So from the previous example, I split up the operations file into two files. The first file is add and mul.py. Mul just stands for multiplication, and this file contains the add and multiply functions. The other file is sub and div.py. Sub means subtraction and div means division. And as you would guess, this contains the subtraction and division functions. So as you can see, we have all the files, all the modules in one folder or directory. In tutorial.py, we will import these files, right? So we can just do import add and mul, and then import sub and div. And what we also could do is we can just go like this, just like that, does the same thing, just do it in one line. But before we get into packages, something I want you to know first is the as keyword. So when we import both of these, let's do add and mul and import sub and div just on separate lines, the as keyword. So with the as keyword, after an import statement, you change the name of the object that is used when accessing a module's functions. So if you remember, we used to call add and mul.add, for example. This is an object now, but when you use the as keyword, you're changing the name of that object. You're not changing the name of the file, but you're just changing the name of the object that you're using, just the name of it, nothing else. With this, you can shorten the name or do whatever you want. And so in this example, I'm just going to do AM, so it's just the first letter of add, the first letter of mul, and then this one as SD, same thing over there. As you can see, this is an easy way to change the module object for your program. This isn't always used for modules that you write yourself, because you can just change the name of the file. But if there's a different module that you're importing, like the random module, you didn't create it. But just for your program, you might want to call it something short, like R, for example. So import random as R. You can do that. And so instead of saying random.randint, if you remember, like 1 to 100, this will get a random number from 1 to 200. You'd actually just do r.random. Okay, so I'm just going to delete these. And let's go back to packages. So when you make lots of modules, it's not best to put everything in one directory or folder. Since there can be so many files, it can be hard to maintain. So just like we put related functions inside modules, we put related modules inside packages. A package is just a container for multiple related modules. It's not that hard to make a package, because a package is literally just a folder with modules inside it. But in Python, we call it a package, since it has Python files in it. So inside our current project, you should open up your file panel with this button over here, and create a new directory by hitting this button. And let's call this operations. This is just like before when we had operations as one module. I just split them up so I can show you packages, but you really wouldn't separate just the 4 basic mathematical operations into 2 files, but this is just an example. But this isn't a package yet. You can move these files into here if you want, but it's not a package yet. So to make it a package, you have to actually put a special file inside of it. So with this special file, Python will know that it's a package. So let's create a new file and call it __init__.py. The name of this file is just like when we created init functions for our classes, but this time it means something completely different. When Python sees this init.py file inside a directory, it treats it as a package. You don't need to write anything inside this file. Python will just know that the folder is a package because it has this file name inside of it. Now we could drag and drop our operations files into the operations folder. And there we go, we just moved it in there. So if you just followed along, you just created your first Python package. So let's get rid of all the code inside tutorial.py just to start from scratch. When we make a package, we type import, and then we need to type the name of the package, so operations, and then a dot. Because this isn't a module, this is just a package, we need to specify what we're importing from it. So after this dot, you type the name of the actual module. So like I said in the first video about modules, when you import them, you don't type the file name. Instead, you just type the module name, which is the name of the file without the .py extension. So this still applies here. We'll do add and mul first, and then we can import operations.sub and div. Okay, so we just imported these modules. To access these functions, we still need to type the operations dot and then the name. So if we wanted to do this, we would do operations.sub and div dot divide, for example, and we'll do 10 divided by 2. And this is kind of long to type, but there are shorter ways to do this. We can also use the as keyword with this as well. we could do import operations.add and mul as am, and we would just say am.add if we wanted 10 plus 3. You can also still import specific functions from a module inside a package. So you can still say from operations.add and mul if you want, but that is long. So what I'm going to show you is useful if you don't want to type out the whole operations dot and everything like that. So we will do from operations. So we'll remove all this and say from operations, and then we can just import add and mul, and then also sub and div. And so this is probably the best way to actually import specific modules from a package. And so we just imported these two modules. And now we can just do add and mul dot add if we wanted, and do 10 divided by 2. And actually we would have to print this though too, so we'll surround that with a print. And here we go. If we expand this, we will see that we got 12.